am so glad you clicked on this video because today we are doing gingerbread DIYs for the holidays. These things are adorable. We're doing everything from some Pottery Barn high-end dupes all the way through to some vintage inspired gingerbread ornaments that are literally just the cutest. So sit back, relax, grab some hot cocoa, and let's get into it. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge welcome back to my whiskey craft buddies who are here each and every week to DIY with me. You guys are the absolute best, and I love seeing you each and every week, talking to you in the comments. It is just the absolute best. Now, let's get into the first gingerbread DIY. You guys know I'm a fan of doing look for less dupes, and I wanted to find something that was about the size of these Pottery Barn ones. I saw a creator on Instagram go viral. Her name is Tina Lee Mack. I will link her information down below, and she used these $5 ones from Michael's, and let me tell you guys, these are perfect. All you have to do is remove the million stickers that they have on them, and then I used a heat gun to pop off some of the wood pieces that I didn't want, or if they didn't get glued on properly, and then I gave all of them 2 to 3 coats depending on the house of nutmeg brown paint. Now you could spray paint them, but I was worried that it would go through those doors and make the inside look wonky or cover the light, and you can't really pop the light out, so just FYI. Then we're going to grab some puffy fabric paint and an inspiration image. You can use my video. You can find the reel that I'm sharing that was Tina's. You can also look up things on Pinterest. And my best tips are outline everything, including the windows, the doors, outside edges of the gingerbread house, like you would need to glue them together. And then also make sure you do a good job of flooding areas like this where it looks like the icing would be dripping. That's going to give you the best look. Overall, this took me a couple days to do, but really I just needed to stop because I got a little bit of a hand cramp from the paint after doing it for a while. So I did a couple things, moved on, but I absolutely love these. My plan for these is to go along with this garland down the center of my dining room table, and I'm finishing decorating this weekend. So next week's video, I'm going to include some decorate with me / home decor tour stuff to show you what my house looks like at Christmas. So if you're interested in that, be sure you're ready this time next Thursday for that video as well. I can't wait to share it and to get my house done for Christmas so we can just enjoy it. Now, if you don't have time to DIY or you are looking for something just super easy, these I found literally this morning, the day this is going up, November 14th. I found these at my Aldi, and these are awesome. It was in their Christmas aisle. They are $10 a piece versus the $39 to $59 that they go for at Pottery Barn, and they look very identical. They light up. So cute. I was so happy to find these as well. Now, speaking of being out shopping, if you've been anywhere this year, you've seen that bows are super trendy. I loved the shape of these, but the color was not going to match my gingerbread vibe. So nothing a little spray paint can't fix. I'm using the color Apple Red in a matte finish to spray paint these. And how I'm getting all the edges is a cooling rack, a plant trolley, and my spray paint tent from Amazon. I will link it down below. It is literally a lifesaver because you can still vent your garage and not get spray paint fall out everywhere. I did 2 coats on these, and these look so much better. These are going to totally fit my vibe, and the great thing is you don't even have to put candles in them. You can just add them to a display, and they look so pretty. I also do a free email newsletter, and the subscribers to that get access to the hundreds of free printables and cut files in my free file library over on my blog. So if you're interested in that, all the details will be down in the description. Here's a quick run through of some of the files you'll find in correspondence with today's gingerbread video, but I also have a ton of other options. I also have like Candyland gingerbread from years past, so you're definitely going to want to check out that free file library. Now, all you have to do is figure out what size frame you want to use. I'm using a 5x7 here, and then you're going to print them to size, and you're going to enjoy it. Now, if you are one of the people that have been asking about the password, every time I send out a newsletter, it's going to be at the top of the newsletter, just like this. You see where it says password. Obviously, the password right now is not password, but that is where it's going to be. So check your newsletter, or if you opt in, I will send you a separate email with the password right away. I love providing you guys with a ton of free files. So if you do this and use my files, please snap a picture and share it on social media. I love to see it. Another great thing about the library is that it also includes SVG cut files and printable banners and other craft enhancements, I guess I would call them. So this gingerbread garland is free over there. It's under printables, and these would also be really good for gift tags. Now, if you don't want to print this out, don't have a printer, whatever, you can find some plates like this. These are from Walmart, and do the exact same technique I'm going to show you right now. You're going to take a hole punch and punch a hole in either side so that you can hang them up. And I like to try to get it about the same height on all of them, so when they're hung up, they are going to lay the same. Then I'm using some baker's twine. This is from Hobby Lobby, but you can get it anywhere this time of year. And some wood beads from my stash to give them a little bit of a spacer. I printed this on regular cardstock, nothing crazy, like 65-pound cardstock, and I love how this turned out. This is another thing I can't wait to get into my dining room. I want to say for the past 3 years, at least 2, I have wanted some vintage gingerbread face ornaments, and this is the year I finally got around to making them myself. I grabbed these ornaments at Hobby Lobby, but Dollar Tree has them, Michael's, anywhere. And I used my contraption from my dupes video where I made those really pretty metallic ornaments to use it again to spray paint these. You just pop them over these bamboo sticks that I stuck into a box. And I tried to spin them around to get all the edges, but I still was left with this. So what I did is I put on a glove, I put them on my fingers, and then I used inside my spray paint tent to get the edges. That helped, so then that way they were fully covered. While those were drying, I cut out gingerbread faces on my Cricut, and this is a file from Etsy that I cut to 3.5 inches. I grabbed the girl face as well as the boy face, but there are a ton of other free options. I will link a couple like Design Space and free options down below, but this creator did such a good job making the face that was right up my alley for the vintage vibe I was looking for. So you definitely don't need a Cricut to make these. You could also draw on the face or do a printable face, whatever works for you and what you have available to you. Then I'm going to take the white pieces of the eyes and apply them to the face. And I'm using parchment paper to help line them up, just because there have been so many times I have tried to apply layered vinyl and you go to stick it down, it sticks in the wrong spot and you ruin the decal, which is such a pain. So here I am just using that parchment paper to slide and make sure the eyes are the right size, because the boys' eyes were a little bit bigger than the girls and I cut them all at the same time. Then we're going to use that paper transfer tape, stick it down, and then peel it up just enough so you can just slide that parchment paper out. And you're going to get your eye, like the whites of the eyes, right where you need them. So parchment paper, huge, huge help when you are layering vinyl. Now, because there's a few different pieces going here, I ended up doing just the black part of the face as well as the whites of the eyes, and then I added the red by hand. And here as I'm applying the paper transfer tape, I'm doing that because it's lower tack. I don't want to peel up any of that spray paint, and also it's easier to crease like this. So you see how there's a crease between the cheek and the eyeball? That is going to make it so your vinyl doesn't crease. So just don't push it down fully, push down your mouth, push down your nose, and then push down your eyes, and that will really help with bubbles. Then, like I said, we are going to fill these little areas with the white part of the nose, red part of the nose, and then I just had to match up the cheeks, but it was really easy to do by hand, so it's not something that you need to layer. Just with the way that the white went on the nose, it was just easier for me to do it this way. Then to finish them off, I used some of this Dollar Tree gingham print ribbon I just got, but it was not in the Christmas section. This I think is actually Valentine's Day or 4th of July, but this is the motif that's in my dining room. So I grabbed a bunch of those, tied and cut it off, and then I used a paint marker to do a little squiggle around the outside, and boom, these are the ornaments of my dreams. I love them so much. I can't wait to get them on my gingerbread tree. I think they are so, so cute. And I also love that they are plastic ornaments. So if Finn or come next year, little baby boy want to grab them off the tree, it's not going to break, which is always a win in my house. Now I know some of you are seeing these cute little candies and wondering how to make them. Let me show you that next. I made these a couple years ago and they were so easy and I love them so much I needed a couple more for my house. So they're actually just bump pans from the thrift store. Just get the ones that are super cheap. All of these were under $2. Most were 99 cents. And I spray painted about half of them white, half of them with that red color that I used earlier on for those bows. So everything kind of matched. And then I used corresponding red and white chalk paint to paint the grooves to make it look like a little candy. You can update these as much as you want. So if you do kind of a pastel Candyland, or if you want some green in there, or if you just want them to be red, whatever floats your boat, you can customize these and it is so fun. This would also be a really fun thing to do with kids or grandkids to have them decorated. Then to make them really look like candies, we are grabbing some cellophane from the Dollar Tree party section. Then we're going to use that same ribbon from our ornaments and tie off the ends. I also used some double stick tape on the back to get the cellophane to stay so it's not moving while I'm tying it. Then we're going to diagonal cut our ends, and then if you need to trim down the cellophane, just hold it together, cut straight, And these things, I just love them so much. That's why I made more this year, because I had some that were above my cabinets. I wanted some for my trees, and you can really customize the size that you want based on where you need to decorate. Every year when I share these marshmallows, I get a ton of questions on how to make them, and they are so easy. You are going to be shocked on how easy they are. Plus, we're going to make some peppermints too. All of them are going to start with some white Model Magic from Crayola. You can get a bag of this for under $5 at any craft store, also Amazon. I'm going to roll it into a ball, and then I'm going to flatten it, kind of like a pizza, and then I'm going to roll the edges so it looks like a peppermint. Do as many of those as you need, and then we're going to move on to some oblong peppermints. So here I'm making just kind of a strip, and the feel here is just like you're playing with Play-Doh. It is fun. This will dry overnight to the touch and then fully in 72 hours. So usually I give it overnight before I mess with it or paint it or anything. I use my Cricut tool, but you could use whatever flat edge you have, gift card, credit card, whatever, and segment those apart, and then I'm rolling them around to kind of make them look like a marshmallow, but you know, a little bit not as uniform. Then for the actual marshmallow, I'm going to roll it into a ball in my hands, and then I'm going to roll it out into a marshmallow shape. The ball in your hand is going to help with the creases and cracking on there. Then once they dry overnight, the peppermints needed some red on there. You can't just have the white. So I went through and started at the center with my little paintbrush and made these little radial pieces on the way out. Now you're going to need 8 lines evenly spaced around the center. I got a little too big for my britches here and just freehanded it wrong, but don't worry, I was able to fix it. And then you're going to let those fully dry. Really, they dry super fast. It's not going to take that long. Then for my little peppermints, I'm taking that same paintbrush and doing diagonal lines up from the bottom. You can make them as thick or as thin as you want. You're going to work your way all the way around the outside, and I really appreciated using a toothpick or bamboo skewer to hold them because there was really no other way to hold them. And then you're also going to extend those to the top and the bottom. Then to wrap these up, you're going to want some of these rubber bands from Dollar Tree, as well as some more of that cellophane we grabbed for the bunt pan project. And we are going to roll this up. You can use some double-sided tape if you need it to stay, but these were just scraps actually from those bunt pan ones that I did, and it was great because it worked out perfectly. Then you're going to take those hair ties that are clear and tie the ends. That way it is going to stay like candy, but it is not going to unravel on you, and it's going to look like they're real because they're just twisted on the end. I love these. I had a teacher actually in middle school give us these before our science test because she said mint helps like expand your brain power, I guess. I always think of her when I see these, but I thought these would be so fun. You can add them to bowls, to setups. You can also add your peppermints to a garland, and they really pop. Now, what about those actual marshmallows? You can use them in displays like this. You can just put them in a mug on a tiered tray. And the great thing about this here is you can get a really full look without making a ton of these. So I only used one of those bags to make all of these in this video. And all you need to do is add some stuffing to the bottom. This is a little polyfill and a paper towel, actually. It doesn't have to be fancy. I just like to try to find stuff that's white. And this is a thrifted mug. I fit them all in there, and it looks so good. Now, where are my chocolate lovers at? You can also add some faux chocolate to the top before you let them dry overnight. Take one of these cake pop sticks, or you could use a bamboo skewer and put it in the center of your marshmallow. Let them dry like that overnight. And then we're going to take some of this puffy paint, but in brown, like we used on the gingerbread houses earlier. I'm going to fill the top and tap it on the table, and that is going to give you the beautiful melted chocolate look on the sides. Get it to where you want it, and then put them somewhere so that they can dry. And then I just added some more of that ribbon that I've been talking about the whole time. And these are a great addition to my grandma's hutch. I will be sharing setups and stuff next week once I get my tuition gear and get everything set up in our house. I'm about 60% of the way there, so we're going to be finishing that this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Up next, we are grabbing a free supply, which who doesn't love free supplies? I know I do. I've been doing a lot of ordering between the baby and Christmas gifts, and we've got friends that are pregnant, just all the things. And so I decided to use some of those before they headed to the recycling. I'm going to start by cutting my box into a sheet that I can work with, tracing some house shapes, and cutting them out with some nice sharp scissors. And like I told you before, get yourself an inspiration image because that will really help. Just pull up gingerbread cookies, gingerbread houses, and you can really freehand. You don't have to go crazy with what you're drawing, like simple shapes here. And I ended up doing probably about 12 of these. Then I had this wood garland that I got on clearance from the fall section years ago, and I thought this would be a great filler in between like a spacer like I did on the cardstock one earlier. This one, you are going to want a dowel needle because we're going to go right through that corrugated cardboard. Now, I wasn't smart enough to think about this ahead of time, but if your corrugation of your cardboard goes horizontally, it's going to give you a really nice, just like little tunnel to go through with the dowel needle. And that is such a game changer when it comes to making garlands like this. You can do as many or as few beads. You could do colorful beads. This would look great on a garland as well. And you don't even need the beads. You could just make this with some twine and some cardboard. Now this next project you could also use with cardboard, but I decided to use some of this Dollar Tree foam board because I had some left over. I had half of a sheet, so that gives you size reference. And I started by going through and drawing a rough sketch of a big hot cocoa mug. I saw a really cute version of this sign or door hanger on an ad, but it was all cut out in wood and it was pretty expensive, so I thought maybe I could dupe it with some foam board. Once I got the design that I wanted, I used a hobby knife to cut it out. And the best tip I have for this is don't use scissors, use a hobby knife. And then also, you don't have to go exactly around all the edges. You can cut and kind of veer away like I'm doing here, and then go back in for your detailed work. If you've ever seen anybody use a scroll saw, it's a similar idea. I painted the entire bottom a deep red and got all the edges so it didn't look like foam board. I also painted the top whipped cream in white, and then I took my black paint marker to create a black rim to really just separate the whipped cream from the mug. I needed to go back through with a little bit more white because I didn't approximate right, but that's fine. And then I added this really cute decal I got from Design Bundles. I'm applying it with my Expressions vinyl paper transfer tape because if you use any other transfer tape, you're gonna kill that foam board. So just be aware. If you wanna do something, really take the tack off if you don't have that kind of transfer tape. Just word to the wise. Then my last step was to add some details. So I pulled up the image of that ad to see where there was accents for the whipped cream. I added some white and black lines just to kind of really freshen it up and make it not look so blah and really give dimension to the mug. Now, if you want to hang it, you can add some hangers to the back. Again, I'm using hot glue because this is not going on my front door, but if you have a front door, do not use the hot glue. Maybe the only redo I would do is not make the handle so large, but I love it. I think it has character, and by just looking at it, you would not think it's just a Dollar Tree piece of foam board that I was going to throw away that I saved from the garbage. In my recent mystery box video, I got these wood stars from my friend J Money DIY, and I knew exactly what I was going to do with them. I also grabbed some wood cutouts from my stash and got to work laying them out in a wreath shape. Then what you're going to want to do is if you're buying them from Dollar Tree or somewhere where there's going to be a hole, you're going to want to take some wood filler and fill in those holes. It is really easy. You just take your finger, apply it, let it dry, and then sand it down. More is better here because you can always sand it down, and then that way it will guarantee that your hole is filled. Then we're going to take it outside and use that warm caramel spray paint that we used on the gingerbread round ornaments. You could definitely use the nutmeg brown and hand paint them, but this is just so much quicker. Then the star of the show, tulip puffy paint. I love this stuff. It's not sponsored in this video, you would think, with how much I use it, but I just love it that much that it makes just the best icing for these gingerbread DIYs. Again, get yourself an inspo pick. We're going to ice all of these just like they are cookies and let them fully dry overnight. Then I had this wreath almost being ready to be donated because I had too many wreaths, and I'm like, actually, we're going to give this new life. So I used just a little dab of hot glue after I laid everything out to kind of see where I wanted it to go and add it to my wreath. I also added this really pretty velvet bow, also from Dollar Tree, so only $1.25. It is a beautiful must-grab option if you're making a wreath this year. And then I hung the final project on my blanket ladder with this really cute bow blanket. See, the bows are coming back around. The bows that are super trendy this year blanket from TJ Maxx or Home Goods, I can't remember, one of the two. And bada bang, bada boom, all done. This is such a quick and easy way to get a huge bang for your buck. So I hope if you love gingerbread, you will consider trying it. I also wanted to make sure that you were aware that this isn't just it. I have got a ton of other videos jam-packed with gingerbread ideas. So if you want to DIY more stuff, if you want more inspiration, definitely check those out. And a couple things before you leave. If you're not already a Whiskey Craft Buddy, be sure to hit subscribe if you love today's video so you don't miss any future content. And also be sure, whether you're a Whiskey Craft Buddy already or not, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and leave me a comment which project was your favorite. I love hearing from you guys, and that helps inform future content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!